John Stuart Mill, in his essay on liberty, in the second chapter of Thought and Discussion, has said the following: however unwillingly a person who has a strong opinion may admit the possibility that his opinion may be false, he ought to be moved by the consideration that, however true it may be, if it is not fully, frequently, and fearlessly discussed, it will be held as a dead dogma, not a living truth. The most dangerous thing that I have seen in the context of thought, the most dangerous thing to thinkers, is to fall in love with their ideas, is to labor toward a conclusion, toward a philosophy, and then fall in love with that philosophy to such extent that they cannot allow it to be questioned. They do not allow it to be refuted, to be negated, to be expanded. They will not allow it to die. And most importantly, they are not conscious that they are defending it, biasedly defending it and trying to protect it over and over again because they want it to be true. They want it to be true because it has psychological benefits for them, or because they want it to be the shape and view of the world, the very substance and form of reality. What is most important for a thinker is that a thinker continues to think and be open to the negation of his or her own beliefs. That a thinker continues to think, continues to expand, to seek out an expansion of his or her own paradigm, of his or her own premises of knowledge. And where people get caught up here is that we don't want to know what truth is, often because it causes a loss of narrative power. Because the conclusions of reality are often not favorable to the type of things that we want to believe. And so we get caught up in a cycle of unconsciously or subconsciously defending the ideas, biasly favoring the ideas, special privileging the ideas we want to be true. This happens in many different ways. One of the ways it happens is that the thinker will simply say, I don't care. The contrary objection to my position is irrelevant to my position. I don't see it mattering to what it is that I want to believe. And it's true that an objection can be irrelevant. But we have to look out for this bias, this authoritarianism that is present within ourselves. It's the number one pitfall that I have seen in thinkers over and over again. They love their ideas too much. They find a narrative, and that narrative gives them explanatory power. It gives them communication power. It gives them leverage over their fellow man. And so they fall in love with the narrative and they cling to it. And yet, when information arises in the world, when evidence contradicts it and refutes it, our forces, our demands, an expansion, our revision, this psychological type denies, represses, fights against, resents this expansion, and this should not be the case. We should be seekers after truth, which means that we are always seeking to expand our thought into a greater nuance of reality, a greater comprehension, a greater articulation of reality. The number one pitfall that I have seen with incredibly intelligent human beings is a love for their beliefs. And the extraordinary thing about this is that it actually restricts the capacity to learn. That should be the great thing that frightens us and motivates us away from this form of dogma, this psychological dogma. We are actually restricting our capacity to learn. And not only are we restricting our capacity to learn, but we are limiting the expansion of our power. What is important is that we are always seeking and pursuing the truth, even if it's uncomfortable. In most cases, it's going to be uncomfortable. Thought is going to take us down paths that we don't want to go, lead us to conclusions that we do not want to believe. Being a thinker, above all, requires courage in this way, epistemological courage in this way. It requires the ability to approach a belief that we hate and despise even. We don't want it to be true. But because we are honest thinkers, because we have integrity in our thought, we are going to follow the reason and the evidence, even if it leads us towards beliefs that we don't want to be true. This is the mindset that's required of a good thinker. The capacity to think against our own biases, our own prejudices, to condemn and resist our own psychological authoritarianism. I have seen this over and over again. Good thinking is constantly in the process of expansion. It's constantly in the process of striving to learn more, of trying to get a better understanding of what drives reality, of what reality is made of. And we don't get to choose. We're born into reality. We don't get to choose what reality is. We are trying to discover what reality is. Now, there is a sense in which reality is constructed. This is true. Humans make up concepts which help them to understand and integrate into the world, into reality. But there's also a concrete nature to reality that exists irrespective of our concepts. Whether we like it or not, we are all going to die. This is an example of an objective reality. So the important thing, the crucial thing, is to follow a Latin phrase that I absolutely love. Ut semper querum. To always question. To always question. No matter how much we love the thing, no matter how much we love the ideas, no matter how much power we get from the narrative, we have to be motivated above that to seek the truth, even if it collapses the beauty of our narrative and robs us of the power of the narrative. We should be seeking truth. And of course, there's even a limit to this. There is a point where, because our lives are so short, we likely have to settle into a narrative. But this would in no way preclude keeping ourselves open, being critical, so that we can always be open to an expansion of our narrative, an expansion of our understanding of what reality is, because with an expansion of our understanding of reality comes an expansion of our power. But if we deny this, if we fight against this, if we're not even aware of it because it happens at the subconscious level, if we are not aware that we are biasly trying to hold on to premises that we love, to beliefs that make us feel good, then we are ultimately going to shatter the prospect of increasing our understanding of reality and thereby increasing our power. We will make ourselves irrelevant through the seduction of our own psychology. We want to avoid this pitfall. And to avoid it, we have to be willing to take the thing that we love and allow it to die when we find that it's refuted.